to learn the facts. Side note, the data and the facts in all of these conversations are always on our side. Keep that in mind. So what we've done in New Orleans, I believe, could really serve as a model for other communities. Number one, the first, most important, integral cornerstone of this operation and our opportunity for success depends on having a group of local owners and managers that are willing to become engaged. Again, policymakers, to a certain extent, do not care about Ashley Hajini, they care about you. In New Orleans, we have what I consider to be the most robust, highly engaged, prolific short-term rental alliance in the country, in my opinion. I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying that. Eric Bay, who's the president of that organization, is sitting right here. Eric, will you wave? Hi. And for over 5 years now, they've been engaged in this fight. They've come together, they formed a legitimate organization, they have a website, they have a Facebook page, they are engaged, they are at City Hall every day, they are working with us, they are working with members of the community to make sure that everybody is educated on short-term rentals, that they have the resources they need to be successful. And we've seen some really good results from that. In tandem with these organizations, we are now, what do we call it, piloting? We're rolling it out. It's rolled out.
Test and learn.
Test and learn.
Yeah.
Our whole home, whole community policy framework is essentially a roadmap that outlines what type of regulations would be successful in a given jurisdiction, meaning we listen to your concerns. We have some solutions that will address that. For example, in New Orleans, we've got a couple neighborhoods around the French Quarter that have more short-term rentals than other neighborhoods not around the French Quarter. If that's causing issues, let's explore ways that we can limit for density and proliferation. Let's not do it with a ban because bans don't work. We can help you craft a roadmap and a framework to answer the concerns of your community. We also engaged in open community meetings, and this was a little bit of a new thing for us, but we had heard so much concern from neighbors and there was so much misinformation, meaning, oh, short-term rentals are definitely the cause of our housing affordability problem here. They're displacing residents, they're the reason that nobody can afford to live in New Orleans. Well, we wanted to take the opportunity to engage in dialogue with those people, not only our own people, but the people that had concerns about the industry. We held meetings across the city, we invited everybody, we had everybody come, sit down, talk about their concerns, but it also gave us an opportunity to put a face to who we are, to who Eric's group is. And they're you, they're local homeowners and managers that want to do right by their city, that are invested in their city, they're invested in their properties. They can't afford to have a property that is causing issues, creating a law that doesn't work for them. And it was a good opportunity to not only demonstrate to the community, but to policymakers that we are invested in that community and invested in finding a solution that will work long term. Back to the data. The Alliance for Neighborhood Prosperity worked with the University of New Orleans on an economic impact report. The University of New Orleans discovered that short-term rentals in 2017 alone generated $900 million in economic activity, supporting over 10,000 jobs. $64 million in direct tax revenue to the state of Louisiana and Orleans Parish. Those are powerful, powerful numbers. And we can help you get that type of information for your community if you feel like that is going to be something that is valuable for your policymakers to hear. And we also partner with local organizations who have a stake in this. A local board of realtors. Is there a business council, a chamber of commerce, a restaurant organization? Any business that benefits from your business is a potential partner in advocacy. So, what does good look like? Good looks like allowing a pathway for everybody to participate. What we've seen over and over and over again is that bans don't work. When you limit somebody's ability to participate in a program, guess what? They're not going to participate in that program, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to shut down. And we've seen in cities like Austin, for example, who passed almost a full ban, that short-term rentals grew from 2,500 to over 10,000 after the ban within just a couple years. We've seen primary-only cities like Denver and Santa Monica and Portland struggle to achieve compliance with those ordinances. Whereas cities like Austin's first ordinance, Nashville's first ordinance, cities that allow a pathway for everybody to participate, guess what? They achieve compliance. If you have controls for the type of concerns that neighbors bring forward, then that's going to work. We've seen it work. And of course, you can't just, have a $1,000 licensing fee. You can't make things so difficult that it's not practical for you to comply. We've seen everything from trying to implement commercial ADA standards to single-family residential homes to, having to have hardwired landline smoke detectors, CO2 detectors. In some circumstances, not a big deal, but in other circumstances would require substantial retrofitting of that unit. And so those are things that we're also looking out for.
Palm Springs.
Yeah. The biggest thing that we're starting to see is the bifurcation of owner-occupied properties and non-owner-occupied properties. There is a very pervasive myth that if you don't live in your property, you don't care about your property, and you don't care about your community, and you don't care what happens there. We know that is fundamentally untrue, but opposition is very, very good at pushing forth that narrative, and the neighbors who are upset about it echo that, and it creates huge misconception about the industry. The knee-jerk reaction to that, of course, is, well, let's just ban non-owner-occupied homes. You can only do this if it's your primary residence. Well, that's not a vacation rental, and that's not going to work. So, we are also, HomeAway is working on some tools to help you guys with compliance and to help cities with compliance. First and foremost, it's important for us to get you guys engaged, to notify you of what your obligation is if we've been notified by a city, so we can help the city push out information to all the listings, outlining your obligations, outlining the new ordinance, so on and so forth. That takes some of the pressure off of them in identifying who they should contact. But we're also working on creating an optional field in which you could put your permit number or your registration number. That makes it a little bit easier for you, and so you avoid having calls from code compliance. Where's your permit number if you're required to post it? Well, we've got a little optional box where you can put that up. Taxes. We are beta testing in several jurisdictions right now our ability to collect and remit taxes on behalf of property owners and managers. And as we move forward in jurisdictions that are willing to work with us on that, we'll be investigating that further in other parts of the country. But these are just some examples of what we're working on now to make it a little bit easier to navigate this complicated and confusing landscape. My favorite subject.
The fun stuff.
Yeah, they can wake up now. I bored you all to death.
All right. I don't need a mic. What's going on? How are we doing? This is what I would consider some of the fun stuff. This is, you've heard Ashley, you've heard